Hello and welcome to Imagine a Garden. My name is Sarah Scoggin and I'm the early childhood librarian at the Newburgh Free Library, Newburgh, New York. And Imagine a Garden is a program that we already started, a series, and we started it live in the library, but because the library is closed right now, we're going to continue the series virtually. If you haven't joined us before or you're completely new to the library, that's fine. Welcome. All ages are welcome for this video, but it's especially aimed at our very young gardeners, ages maybe 3 to 5. You are gardeners too. So we're going to show you how to do some things like planting, learning about plants, trees, bees, lots of things. We definitely encourage you to go online and use your library card online if you are a member of the Newburgh Free Library. So let's get started. So you know that plants grow outside, but they don't do very much during the winter. It's too cold. So if we want to grow a garden, we need it to be warm outside so the plants can grow. But it takes a long time for plants to grow, so we're going to grow some plants and we're going to start inside and plant them in pots or other things. And when they start to grow and the weather gets warmer, then we'll move those small plants outside. And then they can finish growing when it's later in the spring and the summer when it's nice and warm. So there's a date on the calendar when they say, I think it's warm enough to plant your plants outside. That's called the frost-free date. Frost is when you look out and the grass looks like it's icy, frozen. There's a little ice on the grass. We don't want that. So we want to wait until it's warm. No more ice on the plants in the morning. So for Newburgh in the Hudson Valley where I am, that's May 9th. So on or after May 9th is a good time to plant things outside. But it's not May 9th now, so let's get started planting plants. Let them grow when they're small inside where it's nice and warm. So I have something called a peat tray. Not a tray that belongs to someone named Pete. Peat, P-E-A-T, is a special kind of, it's kind of like dirt, but it's a little different. I'll show you. So here's my tray. And they're full of these little round circles that look like dirt, but they have something called peat in it. And we're going to plant the seeds in the peat, and then they can start growing. So I have something called basil. It's a plant that you use to make sauces sometimes. It's very delicious. So in here I have seeds. And you know that seeds are the things that plants grow from. Now these seeds are pretty tiny. You can just see the little black specks in my hand. So I'm going to take some of these seeds and I'm going to use this stick. You could use a pencil, and I'm going to poke some holes in my little dirt, my peat, and I'm going to put the seeds inside. I'm going to cover them up there, and I want to make sure these get really wet. So grown-ups, these peat pellets are pretty inexpensive to buy. You flood them with water for about 1 inch and let them expand. They come really dry. Wait until they get really light color brown before you water them again. I'm going to use a spray bottle. I could spray the tops of my seeds. I actually need to make it warmer inside here, so I'm going to give the plants what we call a greenhouse. It's like a cover to keep the light in. So I'm going to cover them up, and I'm going to put this on a very sunny window so it doesn't get all moldy and yucky in there. As soon as you start to see the plants sprout, take this off. You don't need it anymore. Leave it in that nice warm spot until the plants get a little bigger. And if they get too big for these little tiny pots made of peat, then you could put them in a bigger pot until it's ready to go in the garden. But if it's close to May 9th, then you could just take the little plants, let them get used to the cold, put the tray outside for a little, bring it in. When they get used to the outdoors, you can plant them outdoors. So those are peat pots. or peat pellets. Next we have, if you don't have any peat pellets but you want to get started on your planting, you could plant in an egg carton. You might have an egg carton. You might have enough things to do this at your house right now. So, got my egg cartons here. Now, could I plant something in this bowl, in this metal salad bowl? What do you think, young gardeners? You pause and think about that. No, I don't think I could plant in this bowl. I could put some dirt in there and put some plants in there. Might be a little bit okay, but there's no holes in the bottom of this bowl. So if I put in lots of water, the roots, the parts that go down into the soil, the roots, they like water, but there'd be too much water in the bottom. It'd be all soggy, and plants don't like soggy roots. You don't want soggy, wet feet. So I'm going to take my egg carton. Here it is. And I'm going to take a scissor, ask a grown-up to help you with this part, and I'm going to poke holes in the bottom of each spot. And once I've got all my holes poked, then I'm going to cut this off. Cut off the top. So I have a nice little tray. There we go. I'm going to put that on the bottom. So there's my tray. And now I'm going to add some dirt. I also have little labels. This one actually I'm going to put on that peat tray. It's always important to label where you put your seeds because you can't see them when they're in the dirt. Okay, I'm going to label this. What should we plant in here? I think we should plant some, I could plant some chives. Those are fun to plant. We could plant radishes. So I'm going to label this, that I'm going to plant all of these, write chives right on there. So now I know what I'm planting. Now I need some dirt. I'm using dirt that I bought at the store. It's called potting mix. Grown-ups, it's different than if it says garden soil. Garden soil is denser and it doesn't have the same, it's not as fluffy and doesn't have the same nutrients as potting mix. So if you're going to plant indoors, potting mix is the best one. If you're going to plant outdoors and you want dirt to spread on the garden, garden soil is good. Okay, so I'm going to take this little trowel, that's what we call this, tool. You could use a big spoon. This one actually was a gift from the Urban Newburgh Food and Farm Initiative called Nuffy. If you're not familiar with Nuffy, I encourage you to go to their website and check them out. They are a great force for community gardening and food sustainability in Newburgh. Okay. All right, I'm going to fill up my tray with some dirt and get planting with my seeds. Okay. I'm going to let you see what I'm doing here. There's my seed tray and my chives. I'm going to pour it in my hand. These are very small seeds too. So I'm going to use just my finger to make a little hole. It says right on here, put them ½ inch deep. So I'll make the hole ½ inch. A grown-up can help you figure out what's ½ inch. I'm going to put 3 seeds in every little cup. So if 1 or 2 don't grow, or if I need to spread them out in a bigger pot later, I have enough little sprouts. All right. And I'm going to, excuse me there, I'm going to spray these to keep them wet. It's probably easier to spray them than dump water so that it just doesn't flood them or move the seeds around. Okay. If you want something fun, you can actually take an egg from the eggshell, like after you've eaten the egg for breakfast. If you break just the top carefully, then you can then you can actually, I'm just going to draw a little fun smiley face on here. Let's see there. Okay, there's my little Eggman. And I'm going to put some dirt inside him. Okay, and then I'm actually going to plant some of my chives here inside the egg. If you do that, you can, it looks like he's growing hair. It works very well also with grass seed. So you can make a little grass seed egg by planting inside the eggshell. If you plant something like a bean in an eggshell, you can actually plant the whole shell in the garden when it's time. Just put it right in there. You don't have to take the plant out of the egg. So there's my little Eggman. He's going to take a little while to grow, but he'll have cute hair. And I'm just going to put him right in the egg carton. So there we have it. Our labeled little mini garden. And you could do a few different kinds of plants. Just write which ones you planted. Then you can say, I am a gardener because I have my garden right here on my windowsill. Okay. So what if you don't have any dirt or you don't really have seeds to plant? There's still something you could do to be a gardener. You could plant some food scraps you might have, something left over from cooking. So I'm going to get my food scrap garden going. Here we go. Okay, so I like to eat green onions. These are green onions. They have what look like little onions on the bottom. And I cut these off when I bought them from the store, and we ate them for dinner. But then I put them in a jar of water, just the little stubs. I cut them off, and I left just about that much. Just about an inch or so of the stem left. And I put them in the jar of water. And I put them in a sunny window. If you change the water every 2 days or so, 1 or 2 days, they grow much better. So these will grow again into more of these green onions that I can eat. Now I can eat these tops, put them in my mashed potatoes or something, and they'll keep regrowing many times if you keep changing the water. So if you have some green onions, you can try growing those. What if you have some carrots? I have here, this is just a pie tin that I use for making pie. I put some rocks in the bottom. You could put some marbles, or you could just leave it empty if you don't have those. But the rocks help us figure out how much to water it. So I'm going to take a carrot here. I have my carrot with just a little bit of stub sticking out. And I'm going to cut off, that's about an inch of carrot I want to leave so that the plant needs to eat too, but the plant doesn't eat food like we eat it. It's going to use energy from this piece of carrot that we left. So I'm going to actually put 2 of them. You could put a few if you have a few carrots. And okay, there's my tray with my carrots. And I'm going to fill it with water just to the top of the rocks. So every time it goes down below the rocks, pour in a little more water. Here we go, pouring in my water. Now, it can't grow more carrot on the bottom because that's really the root, the part that we eat that's orange. And it can't grow a new root once we eat the root. Once we've cut it off, we can just eat this part. But carrot tops, when they grow in the ground, have big green tops that grow up like this, leaves that grow up, nice and feathery. And we can regrow those leaves to eat. So I'm going to put this in the sunny window too with my other plants when I'm done. If you have lettuce that's romaine lettuce or another lettuce that's all tight together like this, I have one that's left over. We already ate this for a salad, but it has the root bit on the bottom. So I could put that in a pie plate full of water. You don't even need the rocks for this one. Just put it in an empty pie plate and fill it with water up to about here. and change that water every day or so, and it will grow new bits of lettuce out at the top. Not as much as before, but you'll still have some you could put on your sandwich. You can say, I grew this lettuce all by myself and put it on my sandwich. So that'll be a delicious little way to add to your sandwich. There are other plants you can grow too from the parts that are left over. You could regrow a potato in a glass of water or a sweet potato. There are lots of different plants that you can regrow once you've eaten part of it. That's what plants are best at, growing. Okay, so let's see. Now, if I'm extra lucky to have this in my house, I have this light called a grow light. Because the light that's coming from this light bulb above me, above the table, that's an indoor light. That's not as good for plants as the sun. They need special sunlight to grow the best. And so this is a special light bulb that makes light that's like the sun. So it's almost like bringing a little bit of the sunlight inside your house. That will help plants grow a lot. But if you don't have a grow light, just try to find a bright window. Now outside my house, I have a little patio, like a balcony, and I took a picture of it. I took my phone and I took a picture in the morning, and then I took a picture at lunchtime, and then I took a picture at my afternoon snack time, and then near the end of the day, but right before the sun went down. And I said, does this little balcony, does the sun touch it all day long? In the morning, noon, afternoon, and evening? Or does it only get sun in the morning and then the rest of the time it's kind of shady? You want to find the spot that gets the most sun. But even if your balcony or just outside your house where you're growing your plants is not that sunny, you can grow some plants that don't mind being in the shade some of the time. There are plants like kale is one of them, and there's a plant you can grow that's actually called a rocket. And that can grow if it only gets a little bit of sun, maybe in the morning or the afternoon. So you can ask a grown-up to help you take pictures of your garden spot before you grow it. Okay, now let's see, we can take a look at someone who's a gardener, and that is the Berenstain Bears. The Berenstain Bears grow it. Mother Nature has such a green thumb, is the name of the book. Having a green thumb, my thumb doesn't look green, but that just means you're good at growing something if they say you have a green thumb. Okay, we're going to read some of this book here. The Berenstain Bears Grow It by Stan and Jan Berenstain. Come, Cub, said Mama Bear as she headed to the front door. Help me plant the garden. Plant the garden, said Brother. I was going to play baseball with Cousin Fred. Lizzie and I were planning a party for our dolls, said Sister. A deal's a deal, said Mama. This way, please. It's not fair, said Brother. Besides, plants are boring. B-O-R-I-N-G, said Sister. Boring. Oh, said Mama. Then I guess you think popcorn, chocolate chip cookies, and pancakes with maple syrup are boring too. All of those things come from plants. Yeah, maple syrup comes from a tree. Chocolate comes from a cacao tree to make chocolate chip cookies. And popcorn, that's from corn. That's a plant. You see what they're helping Mama Bear plant their garden. And they also get their clothes to wear from plants because they're from cotton. Cotton is a plant, and we use the fuzzy part of the flower to turn into thread and cloth, and we make clothes out of it. Houses, furniture, that's from plants too. Okay, so Mama Bear and Brother and Sister Bear come home from their shopping at the garden center. They're actually doing the same carrot planting that we were doing. They're planting lettuce in a tray with some lettuce seeds. They're even planting some peas. Peas grow on a vine, so they could grow some of those in our garden too. Cousin Fred and Lizzie came around when they were getting started with their garden outside. "Hey," said Fred, "I thought we were supposed to play baseball." "Sorry," said Brother. "We're much too busy planting stuff." "Hey," said Lizzie, "I thought we were supposed to have a party for our dolls." "Sorry," said Sister, "we're growing stuff. We're practically going to have our own farm." For the grown-ups, I encourage you to look into what they call micro homesteading. It's homesteading even for those who are apartment dwellers. Oh my goodness, they're starting to plants taking over the whole bathroom. The bear's living room was starting to look like a jungle. Mother Nature certainly does have a green thumb, but do you know what? So do we, said Sister Bear. So you can read the rest of the Berenstain Bears Grow It and through the library system. And there's also at the bottom, Professor Factual Bear is telling you lots more facts about plants. Okay, let's see, what's next? How about we have a game? We can decide what things grow on a tree. So I drew a picture of a tree here, and let's see what kind of things grow on a tree. How about this apple? Does this apple grow on a tree? Yeah, that grows on a tree. Apple trees grow a lot in New York, where we are. There's all kinds of different apples, not just red ones, green ones, yellow ones, pink ones, ones that are more than one color. So they definitely grow on a tree. How about these blueberries? What do you think? Do these blueberries grow on a tree? No, these blueberries grow on a bush, a small bush or sometimes a bigger bush, but they grow on bushes. Some berries grow on trees, but not blueberries, so I'm not going to put that on there. Then how about a pear? Here we have a green pear. And let's see, could that grow on a tree? Yeah, that grows on a tree. So I'll put that on a tree. Usually they don't grow on the same tree unless they put two different branches on one tree. But we're just going to pretend. How about this pineapple? Wait a second. I thought pineapples grew on trees. But I found out they don't grow on trees. They grow on big spiky bushes, like a big plant with one big pineapple in the middle. So I'm not going to put that on the tree. How about this? This is a peach. Let's see. I could put that. Yeah, I can put that on the tree. A peach grows on a tree. Peach trees, there's a lot of them, especially in the southern part of the United States. So those are very delicious. I like that book, James and the Giant Peach. That's a fun one. Let's see. How about this plum? Here you go. Purple plum, very delicious. Does that go on a tree? Yeah, that goes on a tree. I like the book Each Peach, Pear, Plum. It's an I Spy picture book. That's a fun one. Now, how about these grapes? Do grapes go on a tree? Have I ever seen grapes growing on a tree? No, grapes don't grow on trees. They grow on vines. You can see there's a piece of vine I drew there on the grape. There are grapes that grow in New York, like the apples, but they don't grow on trees. So I'll put that down. We have our 4 fruits that grow on trees. There are lots of other fruits that grow on trees, but these are the ones that I think you might have tasted. Okay, let's see. What else can we learn about gardening today? There's so much to learn. Let me see. I think we can show you something else that you can tell other people about. Now, I bought these 2 boxes of flower seeds. Lots and lots of seeds. I think they said there are 5,000 seeds in each one of these boxes. This one says flowers that grow where it's shady under trees and things. And these are flowers that grow where it's sunny. So when it gets warm, I'm going to go outside and find places that I can plant flowers. Lots and lots of flowers. Flowers, they're very beautiful to look at, but also some flowers give us seeds, like sunflowers and other flowers, but we also need some flowers to help out our vegetables because a plant like a pepper plant, before it grows into a red pepper or a hot pepper, first it has a flower, or a pumpkin. A pumpkin has a flower that grows, and then the pumpkin grows from the bottom of the flower. So if we don't have the flower first, we can't have the fruit or the vegetable. And flowers, some of them need help to grow. So I'm going to plant these flowers for bees. I want lots of bees in my garden because bees help plants grow. How do they do that? Well, let's see. I have here some flowers. So there's a big bunch of flowers over here and a small batch over here. Now, flowers make something called pollen. It's how they make more flowers grow, how they make more seeds to grow. But the pollen needs to get from one flower to the other flower. But flowers can't walk. And the wind doesn't really usually help. Some plants it helps a little bit. But how could the pollen get from this group of flowers to this group of flowers if the flowers are stuck in the ground? Well, they could get some help from the bees. So here's my bee flying, my girl weak worker bee, and she wants to have some nectar to make honey. She's going to go to this flower, get some nectar that's also in the flower, and some pollen is going to stick to her fuzzy legs. And then she goes to get some nectar at these flowers, and some of the pollen on her fuzzy legs from this flower will fall off on these flowers. So now the pollen moved from here to here because the bee gave it a ride. So now both of these flowers can grow better because the pollen's where it's supposed to be. So that's why I want lots of bees in my garden. Sometimes you might feel scared when there's a bee, or if a bee is near you, but don't try not to go like this and swat it away or run away. Just try to be very still and let the bee fly away. Because the bee doesn't want to sting you. If you leave the bees alone, they like to leave people alone. So I'm going to plant lots of flowers, have a beautiful garden, lots of bees. Butterflies, they help too sometimes to move the pollen. And you can get lots of butterflies to watch in your garden if you plant a lot of flowers. Okay. So I said you can make a garden with peat pellets. You can make a garden in an egg carton. You can make a garden in a pie plate with your leftover vegetables. But you can also make a garden in a big jar or something like that. So it's called a terrarium. Like an aquarium is where you keep fish. A terrarium is where you keep a garden in a bowl. So you could use a fish bowl. I have a big teapot, and I have my little fox inside, little figurine of a fox, and I'm growing moss in here. So I grew some moss, and I can keep it wet with my sprayer. Now my teapot has a hole here, so let air in. But if you're using a big fish bowl or a giant jar with a lid, then enough air can't get in and out. So I would take a piece of maybe plastic, and I could use something to poke holes in, poke a bunch of holes in the plastic. And I put the plastic over the top, so now some air can get in and some extra water can get out. And I put that somewhere sunny too. And again, you could grow grass or something, moss or grass. In your own terrarium, you could put little fairies or some figures in there. to be like your own tiny, tiny little garden inside. All right. So we found lots of different ways to grow a garden. So let's say you grow your seedlings, you grow your vegetables, you grow a terrarium. Now you want to grow a big garden outside. It's great if you have space outside to grow. If you only have that little patio, like I mentioned, a little balcony, you could grow in a container. So again, grown-ups, if you get container potting soil, I have here a big box, the Tupperware. It's better if it's not clear, if plastic. But in something this size, I could grow several heads of lettuce. I could grow 25 radishes. I could grow a whole bean plant. I could grow 2 of the small type of tomato plants. I could grow 1 very large tomato plant. I could even grow some kind of dwarf trees, the trees that are not so tall, only a little bit taller than a person instead of really tall. You could even grow a small tree in there if you have enough sun. So you could grow a lot of food, even in just 1 container. And if I grow something that I plant early in the spring and it grows quickly, like small lettuce, I could eat that lettuce and then I can plant something new in the spot where I pulled out the lettuce. So I could have food all spring and all summer long from my 1 tiny container garden. All right. Let's see, we have just a little bit more to do. One thing that's fun is a seed scavenger hunt. So if you would like to order, you can get a free seed catalog if you write to someplace like Hudson Valley Seed, Burgess. There are hundreds of different places. I ordered many seed catalogs just to be able to see what kinds of things are out there to grow. I'm just learning about how to grow my garden. But you can find some really fun things in there. So I'm going to hold up this page here of my seed catalog. These are some potatoes. Do you see something unusual? I spy, my little eye, some blue potatoes right here. They say blue potatoes are kind of purple. You can get blue and purple potatoes. And it's actually good to eat lots of different color foods. So you could eat some red potatoes, some white potatoes, some yellow, orange sweet potatoes, and some purple potatoes. Carrots, there's purple carrots too. So you could make purple soup. You could make a soup with purple potatoes and purple carrots and even purple tomatoes. And if you want to be really purple, you could add some beets or some black rice. That would make it very, very purple. Purple soup is delicious. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? I have here some corn. And this corn down here is white instead of yellow. There's even blue corn, orange corn, lots of different colors of corn, not just yellow. How about here? What do you spy? These are tomatoes. I spy a white tomato and a green tomato, a tomato that stays green, even though most tomatoes turn green and then they turn red. A white tomato, I've never had one of those. I want to try that. All right, and then finally we have some watermelons. They have little baby watermelons that are easier to grow in your garden, but I think I'm going to grow some vegetables and before I try my watermelon. But what do you see? This is unusual. Here I have an orange watermelon. So they always say to eat the rainbow. You can eat a rainbow full of colors. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little gardening spot. We will be doing more gardening programming through the Newburgh Free Library. You could check out a book called No Waste Kitchen Gardening by Katie Eliza Peters. In the meantime, before the library reopens, there are lots of books that you can read electronically. Read remotely if you have a Newburgh Library card, such as Transform Your Balcony by Fern Richards, that's available electronically, and many others that's specifically for people who are only gardening on their balcony. So, yes, thank you again. Stay tuned for more, and we will see you around the library and the internet. Bye.